Good morning, everyone. We're glad that you're here, and we want to say a special word of appreciation for the fact that you're joining us for this very special announcement. It's no secret that in Oklahoma, we battle a very high incarceration rate. As many of you know, we unfortunately lead the nation in the number of females who are incarcerated per capita in our state, and I think that we have the third highest male incarceration rate in Oklahoma. This past session, we had the opportunity to work on some legislation that moved us forward in trying to address that issue. House Bill 2131 did several things. First and foremost, it expanded the availability, or at least the eligibility, for those who may be considered for community sentencing and or GPS monitoring. It limited the governor's role in the parole process for nonviolent, low-risk offenders. And it also established criteria for those who would be serving on our pardon and parole board. We felt like it was a step in the right direction, but now we're here to announce that we have more to do. And we're very fortunate in Oklahoma to have been selected by the U.S. Department of Justice as a recipient of the resources through the Justice Reinvestment Initiative via the Council of State Governments. And I will tell you that over the last couple of days, I've had the good fortune of interacting and discussing and meeting with the team, the Justice Reinvestment team that is going to be leading this project in Oklahoma. And I believe that they're among the best and brightest in the entire nation on this particular issue, and we're awfully glad and fortunate to have them here in our state. What we're going to be focusing on over the next several months is what we can do to increase public safety by more effectively and efficiently utilizing our resources. An initial analysis of the data in Oklahoma indicates that while the overall appropriation to corrections has increased by 32% over the last 10 years, our violent crime rate continues to increase. 36 other states have experienced a decrease in their violent crime rate, while in Oklahoma, ours remains high. In fact, it's increasing. And so that's an indication that we're obviously not utilizing our resources in the most effective and efficient manner to increase public safety, and it needs to be addressed. The other thing that has been identified early on is that there are approximately half of our current prison population that are unsupervised when they transition out of being incarcerated. No supervision. Many of those individuals will be considered a risk to society, a threat to public safety. And so we need to talk seriously about how we can supervise those individuals who need to be supervised so that we can better serve and better protect our communities, our neighborhoods. Our current path is unsustainable, and we've said for a while that we know both from a physical standpoint and a human resource standpoint that we cannot continue on the road that we're on when it comes to incarceration rates in the state of Oklahoma. We believe, based on what states all around us have been able to accomplish, many of which the Justice Reinvestment team has led or has worked with, Texas, Kansas, Ohio, we believe that there's a better way, a way that we can utilize our resources to actually produce better outcomes and increase public safety, and that's the goal of this particular project. The initiative will have at least 3 phases. The first phase, we're going to spend the time here in the interim analyzing our current system, our current data, identifying what's working well and consequently what is not working well. And then once we're able to get our mind around that and identify the areas that we need to work on, we're going to transition into policy development, which will be phase 2, and then ultimately phase 3, which will be policy implementation, which is the goal for this next session, provided that we can get our work done and take advantage of the opportunity that we've been given. We need to take a comprehensive look at our system. We need to develop sound solutions to these problems so that we don't continue down the road that we're on. At this time, it gives me great privilege to introduce to you our Secretary of Public Safety, Secretary Michael Thompson, and he is here on behalf of the Governor who was hoping that she could be with us today, but is currently out of the country, I believe, at her daughter's wedding. Secretary Thompson.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here on behalf of the governor, who would have been thrilled to be here had she not had a different commitment. On behalf of the governor, I would like to thank the working group that has worked so diligently in this effort so far, the leadership of the Speaker of the House and leadership of the President Pro Tem. It's a great initiative that we're looking at here, and as the Speaker touched on, Oklahoma is very concerned about the fact that we have high crime rates and we have a high incarceration rate. And so any effort that we have that can reduce that is going to be good for all of us as a state. Purely as an economic lens, it's costly to incarcerate people at the rate that we do, incarcerate offenders at the rate that we incarcerate offenders. And it's equally costly when those offenders go out, re-offend, and return to the state prison system. Because at the end of the day, those people are cared for and taken and being supported by the state of Oklahoma. So when those members leave, when those offenders leave incarceration and have an opportunity to go out and be productive members and not have to depend on the state, it's a good thing for all of us. I've heard the governor say a number of times it's very important that we are tough on crime, but it's equally important that we're smart on crime. And that's the thing that's most encouraging about the Justice Reinvestment Initiative, is the strategies and the policies and the recommendations that they will make will be based on fact. It will basically be based on data and sources from a variety of different places. Not emotion, not assumption, fact. And we need that. We need facts as we move forward and try to tackle this tough problem. Because our incarceration rate is high. Our crime rate is high, and we need to do something about it. So I'm glad to see that we're attacking this with success, and I really do appreciate the vision that the folks that are working on this have. Just a last note, it's very important that we do something about this problem. We can't allow this problem to fester and stick our head in the sand and hope that it goes away. We need to do everything we can do to make this a better state for people that live here, people that work here, and people that visit Oklahoma. And I'm very hopeful that this system, this program will help us reach that goal. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for being here. And I'll be followed by the President Pro Tem, Brian Bingman.
Thank you, Secretary Thompson, and certainly thank you, Speaker, for your leadership on this issue. I'd much rather be here today talking about being number one in football as opposed to the topic that we're talking about today. But our goal here is to get us out of number one in this issue. To guide us the Justice Reinvestment Initiative process, the state, we've established a Justice Reinvestment Working Group. And that's composed of state agency directors, legislative leaders, and top court officials. Standing behind me are members of the working group who are able to join us today for this exciting announcement. As you can see, maybe you can't see, but I'll tell you, this is a bipartisan group with a broad range of experience and expertise dedicated to public safety. The Justice Reinvestment Initiative team will also solicit suggestions from stakeholders directly and indirectly involved in the criminal justice system, which will include judges, district attorneys, public defenders, law enforcement officials, advocates for crime victims, community treatment providers, and of course other interested parties. To provide you with details on the justice reinvestment process, I would now like to introduce Marshall Clement, who is the project director with the Council of State Governments Justice Center. Marshall.
Good morning. Thank you, Speaker, Senate President Pro Tem, and Secretary Thompson for inviting us to be here today. It's certainly an exciting day for us to be here in Oklahoma. My name is Marshall Clement. I'm the project director for the Council of State Governments Justice Center, and we have 4 other members of our team here today with us. The Council of State Governments Justice Center is a national organization that serves state policymakers and helps them craft data-driven strategies to increase public safety. We're excited to be in Oklahoma Oklahoma because state leaders here from all three branches and both parties requested assistance from the Department of Justice and were selected through a competitive process to receive 6 to 18 months of intensive research and analysis provided by our team of researchers and national experts. Over the next several months, as Senate President Pro Tem indicated, we'll be analyzing data from across the criminal justice system, from reported crimes to police, to arrests of those offenders, to those who are processed through felony courts and how they are processed and disposed of, to probation, parole, community sentencing, and other forms of supervision, as well as obviously people admitted to and released from prison. I'd like to recognize Director Justin Jones, who's already opened up his agency and staff and data to be helpful to this effort, and other agencies are also being equally helpful in terms of making their data available to this process. I also have to recognize that Director Jones is on our board of directors, so I really in some way report to him. But he's great. You're lucky to have him as your director of directors. We're pleased to be working with him and state leaders in this effort. Based on those data analysis, we'll be presenting analysis to the working group you see here today 3 to 4 times over the course of the next 6 months in order to guide this group in crafting a set of policy options that are practical, that actually accomplish something for public safety in the state of Oklahoma, that are politically sound, that garner bipartisan support, and also have a consensus among key stakeholders, district attorneys, public defenders, judges, and others working on the front lines of the system that make sure that these ideas would actually work in practice. As the speaker indicated, we've worked in 14 other states to date using this justice reinvestment approach. And it really is that an approach. It's not a silver bullet, it's not a program or a prescribed set of policies, including the state of Texas back in 2007. In that year, the state of Texas was forecast to need to build 17,000 new prison beds at a cost just over 2 years of $600 million. They asked us to take a look at why the prison population was growing. Texas had built 100,000 prison beds over the 90s, and public leaders in the state of Texas were asking, when does this line begin to bend, begin to flat? When do we have enough prison beds, and why is the population growing? We analyzed the population, found a number of reasons. The key reason we found in Texas was a probation system that judges had lost confidence in, and that lacked the kind of resources and sanctions in order to appropriately respond to the needs and the behaviors of those under supervision. And so, identifying that, we crafted a set of investments and policies that the state of Texas adopted in 2007 to strengthen probation and to reduce failure rates, so that we weren't just keeping people from returning to prison, we were also preventing crimes from being committed by those offenders. As a result, of the last 5 years, we've seen the prison population in Texas flatline. They haven't had to build a single new bed as a result. They saved $440 million in the first 2 years of the effort alone, and that was after they reinvested about $240 million in expanding treatment programs and sanctioned facilities for probation departments to use across the state. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the speaker, and I appreciate you taking any questions there.
This time, you're seeing a glimpse of our working, the membership of our working group. We have several leaders from different aspects of the state, both the public and private sector, and we would be happy to open this up to questions at this time. Pat?
No surprise. I have a question. I'm always concerned that reforms, regardless of where they're coming from, sometimes get oversold. So, and as you know, I'm personally very sympathetic to this. I've written about it in commentaries in the past. But talk to us about the Texas rates, Indiana, any in Kansas, any of the states where this has a longer history. What's happened on the crime rate side? I understand the data on savings, but have crime rates stayed flat, gone up, gone down? Is it a mixed bag?
It's a great question. It's obviously the key metric for us in terms of assessing the success of these efforts. Crime rates obviously take some time to analyze. So the states where we've worked the longest and seen these policies be able to have an effect, like Texas, for example. In every state where we've worked and they've taken some of the policies and actually enacted those, put those in Obviously, crime rates reflect a much broader population than just those people coming in and out of prison. And so we're also concerned with tracking recidivism rates for those offenders on probation and parole supervision and those who are unsupervised. And in states like Texas, for example, since 2000, we've seen the parole revocation rate, which is the best metric we have of failure on parole, decline 26%. It's pretty staggering in terms of what you see in the research in terms of reductions in recidivism. We've seen probation revocations drop 4%, and that may seem like a small percentage, but represents a huge number given the size and complexity of the probation system in Texas. Really 1 in every 3% of all adults in Texas are on probation. And so a 4% decline in the failure rate from that population is truly significant. But that's how we're measuring is failure rates of people on supervision in the system, and obviously paying attention to broader crime trends and want to make sure that those continue to go down.
Thank you.
Let's talk about our relationship from corrections with lawyers. You have the sentencing commission and legislature did one, they recommended, so they abolished them. You had two audits. How is this going to be different in these other stuff?
Well, I understand the question, Barbara, and I appreciate the question. I can tell you that I believe that there's an interest in the legislature now that may not have been there in the past, an interest in this particular issue. I believe, based on, again, the original analysis of what we're spending on corrections, and then consequently the results that we're producing is in my mind, a clear indication that what we're currently doing is not in the best interest of our state from a public safety standpoint. So let me be clear, certainly for those individuals that pose a threat to society or are a risk to public safety, we believe that they ought to be incarcerated. But at the same time, if our violent crime rate is not going down, given the amount of money that we continually spend on corrections, I believe that it's time to discuss and identify some alternatives that may be in our state's best interest. And I think having this particular group, not only the Justice Reinvestment team, but the individuals that are standing with us today, and many of whom could not be here, and many of whom are in the audience, I think now is our time to seriously look at what can be done to improve the situation for Oklahoma.
Piggyback on that question, some of the groups that Barbara mentioned, the experts have recommended for years that Oklahoma's sentences for some nonviolent crime, drug crimes, are excessive. But yet there's never been political will to reduce sentences or come up with alternatives. How do you think that would change in an election?
You raise a very valid point, and obviously this is not an easy issue to address. If it were easy, I suspect it would have been dealt with sooner rather than now. However, Sean, I would tell you that the 3 areas, and let me just reiterate, that the initial analysis indicated that we really need to focus on and drill into would be our high violent crime rate, and why that's not decreasing. Secondly, supervision, who is being supervised, who is not being supervised, and how we can address that issue to increase public safety. And then the third category is actually our prison population, our current prison population, and that does involve looking at our sentencing guidelines and potentially reforming some of our sentencing guidelines to address the issue that you just mentioned. Pat?
What do you think is, at the, be expansive, what is possibly achievable in our next session? How many pieces?
That's a great question, and let me tell you that this first phase ordinarily lasts between 6 and 18 months, and I'm going to be very candid with you. I'm seeing the sand run through the hourglass as far as I'm concerned. In the time that I have left in the legislature, I see many people smiling. I guess you guys are happy about that. The situation is this: we are going to be as diligent and dedicated to this initiative as we possibly can be. Pat, I don't know at the end of the day exactly how much we're going to get accomplished next session. I can tell you that it will be a priority, and it definitely be a priority, a top priority for me to try to address this session, this issue next session. But I want to point out the other members on this team Representative Chairman Lisa Billy, who is the chair of our Public Safety Committee, is a key part of this working group, and she has time left. And there are many others in our body that are very interested in this issue that are not term limited. And so we're going to collectively work together. My hope, my goal, my desire, my purpose is to accomplish as much as we can next year. I don't think that we came to be in the situation that we're in overnight, and I don't believe that we're going to solve this issue overnight, but I believe that we can lay the foundation and that in such a way that work will continue in the years to come.
What is the cost
For
the study?
Well, actually, Oklahoma was selected to receive these services. I think we're one of 3 states, maybe. I think they just completed kind of a neat side note. I think they just completed work in North Carolina, and today the governor of North Carolina is signing into law comprehensive corrections reform as the work of the Justice Reinvestment Initiative. There's no cost to the state of Oklahoma other than, and I see Brad Wagemont sitting in the back, our staff will obviously have to provide the data that's necessary to do the analysis and the study. So there may be some in-house costs that are accumulated just through the natural process of working on this issue. But it doesn't cost the state of Oklahoma hard dollars we received this opportunity based on the leadership that's represented behind me and the interest in this issue. And I want to make a special note that one of the criteria to be eligible to work with the Justice Department, the Justice Reinvestment Initiative at CSG is this has to be a bipartisan initiative, and it absolutely is. Representative Scott Inman is a part of the working group, as is Senator Rice, who could not be here today.
How big of an issue is for the 1%?
I'm sorry.
How big an issue is the overall project for the sentencing?
Well, it's one of the 3 issues that we're focusing on under the current prison population. Who should be incarcerated, who needs to be incarcerated, and then statistically, who would be better served from a public safety standpoint through some other form of sanctions. And so it's very much a part of what we're going to be studying this interim. Any other questions? Seeing none, let me say again, thank you all for being here today. Thank you for taking an interest in this. I will tell you that our team members will be available for just a few minutes if you have any additional questions or would like to follow up with them. And it's exciting time for